Have you ever wondered why it's so easy to spend 3 hours scrolling on your phone, but practically impossible to study for 30 minutes without feeling unbearable agony? Why can you watch an entire series in days, but can't read 10 pages of an important book? Why does working out, working, or doing anything that truly matters feel like torture, while wasting time on digital distractions seems the most natural thing in the world? The answer isn't that you're lazy, weak, or undisciplined. The answer is that you have a monkey brain, and that monkey has been trained for. Yours to chase digital bananas that perfectly exploit its neurological vulnerabilities. Every like, every notification, every infinitely scrollable short video is a dopamine injection that teaches your brain to seek immediate pleasure and shy away from anything that requires real effort. While you're beating yourself up over your lack of willpower, entire teams of engineers with PhDs in neuroscience are designing apps specifically to hook your primitive brain. While you're trying to try harder, your reward system has been completely dysregulated by years of unbridled consumption of hyper-concentrated stimuli that make reality pale in comparison. There's a brutal truth no one wants to accept. You can't compete against your own brain when it's been hacked by billion-dollar corporations profiting from your infinite attention. But there's also a strategy to reverse this process: reset your brain's sensitivity, recalibrate what counts as reward, and tame the monkey instead of being tamed by it. What I'm going to show you today goes against the whole "you just need to want more" motivational narrative. Get ready to discover why discipline isn't about willpower, but about hacking your own reward system. Why a day of dopamine detox can do more than months of trying harder. And how 5 minutes of real focus are worth more than hours of fake productivity. In the next few minutes, you'll learn exactly why your monkey brain loves digital bananas and how to train that monkey brain to finally work for you instead of against you. You like to think you're an evolved, rational human being, but the brutal truth is that most of the time you're being commanded by a monkey brain that cares about only one thing: immediate pleasure with the least possible effort. This primitive brain didn't evolve to deal with long-term goals or personal development. It evolved to survive in environments where the winning strategy was see something shiny and easy. Get it now, because it might not be here tomorrow. This worked perfectly when the shiny thing was a ripe fruit, but becomes completely destructive when it's a notification on your phone or any digital stimulus. Designed by engineers to hijack precisely these primitive circuits. You're not just competing against your own lack of willpower. You're fighting against millions of years of evolutionary programming that constantly push you toward the path of least resistance. It's like trying to run the latest apps on a computer from 1995. Technically possible, but painfully slow and prone to constant crashes. The fundamental problem isn't that you're weak or lazy. The problem is that your brain is operating with outdated software, trying to navigate a completely new environment for which it wasn't designed. Your brain's reward system has been calibrated over millennia to respond to real achievements that required genuine effort: killing an animal for food, building a shelter, cultivating relationships that ensured survival. These feats released dopamine as a reward for work that genuinely increased your chances of survival and reproduction. But now that same system can be instantly hacked by an Instagram-like messaging app or 3 seconds of a funny video. These rewards cost zero effort, zero risk, and make no real contribution to your life, but they activate the same neurological circuits that were reserved for meaningful achievements. Every time you reach for your phone in a moment of boredom, every time you open a new tab, when you should be focused, every time you choose endless scrolling over a difficult task, you're not just taking a quick break. You're actively training your monkey brain to shy away from anything that requires sustained effort. It's like giving a monkey a banana every time it screams. Eventually, it will scream whenever it wants a banana because you've taught it that it works. Your brain learns through repetition. Rewarded behaviors are reinforced, unrewarded behaviors are abandoned. When you choose the digital banana thousands of times a week, you are literally reshaping your neural circuitry to prefer instant gratification over earned satisfaction. It's no coincidence that after years of doing this, sitting down to study for an hour or work on a difficult project feels physically unbearable. You've systematically destroyed your ability to tolerate the temporary discomfort necessary for any real achievement. Social media is essentially a casino designed with scientific precision to hook your monkey brain. Through microdoses of dopamine, every like, every comment, every notification is a tiny chemical injection that keeps you obsessively coming back for more. The perverse genius of this system is that the reward is intermittent and unpredictable, just like a slot machine. Sometimes you post something and get 10 likes. Sometimes you get 100, sometimes nothing. This variability is devastatingly addictive because your brain never knows when the next reward will arrive, so it gets stuck in a compulsive loop of constant checking. Silicon Valley engineers have literally studied how to create chemical dependency through interface design, and you're competing against entire teams of neuroscience PhDs whose job it is to keep you scrolling. It's not a fair battle, it's a monkey with a banana versus $1 billion corporation. With artificial intelligence algorithms specifically designed to exploit your neurological vulnerabilities, games, binge-worthy series, and pornography operate on the same devastating principle: maximum pleasure with zero effort, and seemingly no cost until you realize the real cost is your ability to feel satisfaction from achievements that require genuine work. A game gives you elaborate visual and audio rewards with every small victory. A series delivers intense emotional drama without the investment of real relationships. Pornography offers sexual stimulation without the risk, vulnerability, or effort of true intimacy. These are perfect digital bananas, instantaneous, abundant, infinitely available, and completely devoid of real meaning. The problem isn't the pleasure itself. Pleasure is essential to human life. The problem is that these artificial pleasures are so intense and so easy that they make everything else in life taste bland by comparison. It's like eating ultra-processed, industrial candy every day. Eventually, a real fruit loses its taste completely because its taste buds have been deregulated to respond only to absurd levels of concentrated sugar. Every digital addiction you feed is systematically killing your frustration tolerance and discipline. When you get down to the most fundamental level, is essentially your ability to tolerate temporary discomfort in exchange for future benefits. When you train your brain to seek immediate relief, every time you feel the slightest discomfort, boredom, anxiety, loneliness, mental effort, you're destroying the psychological muscle that allows you to do anything difficult but worthwhile. It's like never letting a child feel hungry. Eventually, they completely lose the ability to tolerate the sensation and panic at the slightest stomach discomfort. You've done this to your adult brain. You've conditioned it to interpret any moment without constant stimulation as an emergency that needs to be immediately resolved. With a digital banana, the result is that you literally can no longer sit quietly for 10 minutes, study for an hour without distractions, or work on a difficult project without seeking escape every 5 minutes. Studying, training, working on meaningful projects, none of these activities release instant dopamine the way your monkey brain has been conditioned to expect and demand. The feedback from these real achievements is delayed, subtle, and often invisible. You study for weeks before seeing results on a test. Train for months before noticing significant physical changes. Work on a project for years before seeing the real impact. To a brain trained to receive micro rewards every 3 seconds of scrolling, this timescale seems absurdly long and unbearable. It's like trying to convince someone addicted to ultra-processed fast food to eat steamed broccoli. Technically, broccoli is infinitely more nutritious and beneficial, but to dysregulated taste buds, it's literally tasteless compared to the salt, sugar, and fat bomb of fast food. Your brain makes the same distorted calculation. Why would I sit here struggling with math for an hour when I can just open up some social media site and feel instant pleasure endlessly? Compared to the digital bananas you consume daily, reality with its delayed rewards, its genuine challenges, and its need for sustained effort begins to seem dull, colorless, fundamentally unattractive. It's like watching a black and white movie after years of watching only blockbusters with overstimulating CGI. Technically, it may be a better, deeper, more meaningful film, but your neurological circuits have been so overloaded by intense stimuli that they can no longer appreciate subtlety. You've literally lost the ability to feel satisfaction from small, Steady progress because your reward system has been recalibrated to respond only to intense bursts of instant gratification. A student 100 years ago might feel genuine pleasure in mastering a difficult concept after hours of focused study. You, with your brain bombarded with digital dopamine since adolescence, feel only unbearable boredom attempting the same task, because you're constantly comparing it to the instant hit you could get by opening any app on your phone. You're not lazy in the moral sense, you don't have some fundamental character flaw that makes you inferior to disciplined people. What you have is a dysregulated brain that has been systematically trained to be unable to find pleasure or motivation in activities that truly matter. It's like blaming a diabetic for not processing sugar properly. The problem is metabolic, not moral. Your dopamine metabolism has been completely destroyed by years of unbridled consumption of hyper-concentrated digital stimuli. Disciplined people you envy don't necessarily have more willpower than you. Many of them simply never fired up their reward circuits in the same way, or consciously protected them. When someone can study for 4 hours straight or work out every day without apparent effort, it's not because they're superhuman, it's because their brain can still drive enough satisfaction from these activities to make them sustainable, while yours has been conditioned to interpret any moment without intense digital stimulation as an intolerable deprivation that needs to be immediately corrected. Dopamine detox isn't some mystical concept or pseudoscience. It's simply giving your brain a period of fasting from the cheap, hyper-concentrated stimuli that have completely dysregulated your reward system, forcing a recalibration of your sensitivity. A full day without social media, streaming, gaming, pornography, or any other source of easy instant dopamine will feel like torture in the first few hours. And this extreme discomfort is precisely proof of how dysregulated your brain is. You'll experience unbearable boredom, anxiety, physical restlessness, and perhaps even symptoms reminiscent of drug withdrawal, because your brain is literally going through a process similar to that of an addict, being forced to go without the substance. But if you can tolerate this temporary discomfort, something fascinating happens. Normal activities start to feel interesting again because you've reset the baseline of what counts as rewarding. The second fundamental principle is to completely reverse the order you normally operate. Effort first, pleasure later. You only eat the banana after working, not as a bribe to get started or as an escape when work gets tough. Most people work like this: wake up, check their phone, banana, try to work a little, feel discomfort, pick up their phone again, banana, go back to work, feel bored, another banana, and so on. You're essentially rewarding your monkey brain for avoiding effort, teaching it that whenever things get tough, there will be an escape available. The correct strategy is brutal but effective. No digital banana until you complete a significant chunk of real work. Your monkey brain will protest violently, flood you with impulses, and invent 1,000 rational justifications for just a quick check. But if you hold firm and only allow access to pleasure, AFTE, or effort, you begin to rewrite the programming. Effort leads to reward. Not escaping effort leads to reward. Starting with ridiculously small goals is the third essential strategy, because you need to rebuild the neural association between effort and satisfaction from scratch. 5 minutes of genuine, distraction-free focus on a difficult task is infinitely more valuable than 3 hours of work interspersed with constant scrolling. It's like learning to walk after an accident. You don't start by running a marathon. You start with tiny steps that gradually rebuild your capacity. Those 5 minutes of pure focus, where you feel the discomfort but don't run from it, where you process genuine information instead of just consuming stimuli. Are you literally teaching your brain that effort can also generate reward, more subtle than a like, more delayed than a notification, but real and sustainable? After a few weeks of doing this consistently, something magical happens. Those 5 minutes start to feel less tortuous, and you can extend them to 10, then 20, then an hour, because you've slowly rebuilt the neural machinery that allows you to drive satisfaction from focused work instead of just hyper-concentrated digital stimuli. You need to accept a fundamental truth that will free you from unrealistic expectations. You will never completely kill, eliminate, or transcend the monkey brain. It is an integral part of your neurobiology and will be with you until the day you die. The quest for immediate gratification, the tendency to choose the path of least resistance, the impulse to flee from discomfort, these are not bugs that can be deleted. They are features of the human operating system that have been essential to the survival of the species for millions of years. Truly disciplined people are not superhumans who have somehow eliminated these impulses. They have simply learned to domesticate the monkey rather than be domesticated by it, training your brain to seek satisfaction in effort rather than just in the escape from effort. Is essentially reprogramming the reward system to recognize that there's a different kind of pleasure, less intense but deeper, less immediate but more lasting, that comes from achieving difficult things. It's the difference between the artificial dopamine rush you feel when you get 50 likes on a photo and the genuine satisfaction of mastering a difficult skill. After months of consistent practice, the former is like pure sugar injected directly into your veins, an intense burst followed by an inevitable crash. The latter is like a nutritious meal that sustains you for hours. When you can get your monkey brain to understand this distinction, you've unlocked the fundamental code of discipline. Whoever controls their inner monkey, whoever can say, I know you want the digital banana now, but let's work first and eat later, and make the monkey obey, essentially controls everything in life. Because every significant achievement requires the same fundamental skill: tolerating temporary discomfort in exchange for future benefits. Lasting relationships require you to face difficult conflicts instead of escaping to distractions. A successful career requires you to do boring, repetitive work before getting to the interesting parts. Physical health requires you to choose the discomfort of a workout over the comfort of the couch. Personal growth requires you to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself instead of numbing yourself with endless entertainment. In each of these areas, the battle is always the same: your inner monkey pulling you toward easy, immediate pleasure, and you having to be strong, wise, and patient enough to redirect that energy towards something that truly builds the life you want. Discipline isn't about becoming a desireless robot. It's about becoming a skilled trainer of your own inner monkey, someone who understands your impulses but isn't enslaved by them. Now you have access to a truth most people will never understand: your lack of discipline isn't a moral failing. It's the predictable result of having a primitive brain exploited by modern technologies, specifically designed to be addictive. But knowing this truth doesn't automatically free you. Freedom only comes when you have the courage to do something brutally uncomfortable. Cut off the digital bananas your inner monkey craves thousands of times a day, and endure the temporary abstinence necessary to recalibrate your reward system. So answer me with complete honesty. Are you prepared to do a real dopamine detox? A whole day without social media, streaming, gaming, or any digital escape, even knowing it will feel like torture? Can you accept that those 5 minutes on your phone between tasks are exactly what is destroying your ability to focus? Do you have the courage to implement effort first, pleasure later, and truly deny the monkey the bananas until the job is done? And most crucially, are you willing to start ridiculously small? Just 5 minutes of real focus per day instead of attempting heroic changes that last 3 days before falling apart. Because here's the brutal reality: your monkey brain won't be happy with these changes. It will scream. It will flood you with impulses. It will invent 1,000 rational justifications for just this once. You will experience unbearable boredom, anxiety, physical restlessness, all the symptoms of an addict being forced to go without the substance. The difference between people who transform their discipline and those who remain stuck in the procrastination cycle lies in a simple choice: tolerate this temporary discomfort or continue choosing the immediate relief that keeps you stuck exactly where you are every time you pick up your phone, when you're bored, every time you choose TV over studying, every time you feed the monkey digital bananas when you should be training it to work. You're voting with your actions on the kind of life you'll have. And the monkey doesn't care about your goals, your dreams, or your potential. It just wants the next banana. If this video showed you that you're not weak, but rather hacked, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And let's learn how to tame that monkey brain.